Hello, everybody. Let's talk about currency collapse in debt spiral. The debt spiral is when a country end up in a situation, or maybe a family, right? Even you and your credit card, you end up in a situation where the interest on your debt is higher than what you're making, right, your income to pay that debt. It's simple, very, very simple is that. As soon as your debt gets so high, the interest on that debt become extremely high. You cannot afford to pay that interest. So how do you fund your operation as a family or as a country or as a business? How you do? Like currencies or countries, they are just like a business. Okay, if your economy is too weak to support your funding, right, then you have to find a way to get the money, right? Everything works with money. Look at your city, your town. You need money to fund that town. When there is like a disaster, somebody have to come and fix it, clean up. When there is a storm, let's say a snowstorm, somebody have to come to clean the road. Otherwise, everything is in collapse, like very, very quickly. Like all of these things need money, but government were so stupid and so childish on printing money with like those stupid monetary theory, right? Of like unlimited money printing, race to the bottom of with our currencies, and now most of them are in debt spiral, and it's not fun. It's not fun. Like when you look at the U.S., for example, like the strongest currency out there. Okay, I mean the strongest fiat currency out there. So why is the U.S. dollar, right? The U.S. country is in a debt spiral. Well, it's just simple, just like I described you. They got in their credit card, right? It's full. Basically, they take a lot of money as debt to fund their operation. And like 2008 happened. Well, they put a lot of money to bail out the banks, right? All the shenanigans that went there. 2020 came again. They put a lot of money, give to people and give to mostly corporations. So yeah, and not only the U.S. though. You can't just blame U.S. Like some of the countries did even worse than that. They print even like a lot. So now I'm just talking about the U.S. because it's like the cleanest clothes in the dirty basket. But now they are in the debt spiral. So, and now let me focus on the debt spiral, okay? Because I want to make it clear. Because most people don't understand this. Now they are pretending to tight the money supply, but hey, it's still high. People say, oh, the inflation went from July to August, right? It went up, right? But the inflation, the prices are still high, right? So the inflation is still at 8% year over year. Now, inflation, and also it's only measuring over the past year. It's not taking in perspective the 5 past year. If you say inflation over the 5 years, it's like it could be at 20-50%, right? So if you take inflation in the last 10 years, it's at like hundreds of percent, right? So it depends on your framing. So people are too stupid to think that they don't understand that they put them inside a framework, right? They want you to live to think inside a framework. You say, hey, this is just think between those 2 months, okay? Then you have inflation. You don't have to. It's not painful. You don't feel it's painful because it's just like maybe 0.1%. But if you look at it in a longer period of time, right? You stop thinking too much short term, then you see how big inflation is. Now, I don't want to focus on just the inflation rate. Like I said, I want to focus on the debt spiral. Now, because US, you have like you're gonna pay for people's retirement, right? So this money they have to come from the budget, right? So you have to pay for the welfare state, right? It has to come from the budget. You have to pay for all those stimulus programs, right? They have to come from the budget. The war in Ukraine, okay? It has to come from the budget. And the Inflation Reduction Act, right, which is basically the Inflation Production Act, it has to come from the budget. All of those things have to come from the budget. Now, how do you get that money when the GDP is going down and trending down, like 2 consecutive quarter of negative GDP, and I think it's still gonna go down because they are complete losers. Nothing is. People are losing confidence. The Japanese are dumping the U.S. treasuries, right? That's a sign that people are losing confidence in your economy, right? So China is trying to dump, right? It's dumping, right? You have like investors are dumping. They are dumping their funding. So where do you get the funding now? Well, it's gonna come from somewhere. They're gonna issue more debt, and this gonna take them even more interest. It's like you go on your credit card. Your credit card is full. Let's say you took like $2,000 on your credit card. Now you use all of that, right? Now you have to pay the interest on it. And let's say the interest is more than your monthly saving, extra money you have to use to pay for that. When you pay for food, for housing, you pay for clothing and all those things, then you get a leftover for that. You pay for your credit card, but you cannot take money, right? If you cannot afford to not feed yourself just to pay credit card. Right? That doesn't make sense, right? You have to you take from the least urgent. Right? You pay the most urgent bills, right, first. So now that's what's happening. Now they have to pay for the retirees, right? Because it's a commitment, right? And they have to pay for all those, expenses, all those expensive, technocrats in the government, all the presidents, and all those people. They have to pay for them, right? It's not free. It's a lot of money, and they ask a lot of money. They get it raised, in fact, because inflation is high. Even though they are the one creating it, but they still have to get way more. So that's that. Again, that's not just in US. That's all over the places. Okay, so I don't want to make it sound like the other places are better. No, it's the same thing. It's even worse in other places. So now you end up in a situation where your expenses are so much higher than your income. So how do you solve that problem? There's not really a way out. It's a debt spiral because now you wanna go get another credit card to pay the interest on that $2,000 credit card. So now what happened is the creditor gonna say, "Hey, okay, so your credit is lower now. You are a very debtor. You very risky debtor. I have to charge you a higher premium. Premium means you have to pay like a higher price for your credit, because you're not credit worthy enough. So what they're gonna do, they're gonna say, hey, okay, now because of that, and then you have to pay high interest. So now that add up to the interest to in total, and then it's gonna make it the burden even higher. So now you are in a situation where get even harder. Even for your to pay the retirees, you have to take debt. Now you're used to, people at work and you take from the taxes, but no, now you have to take it from the you have to take a debt from. You have to take another credit card to pay that. You see, so that's basically the debt spiral. And if you're not protected, my friend, and it's a very dangerous game you're playing. You're playing with fire, because if you don't have insurance on that, what's gonna happen is, if you are on those currencies, you are in that, you are the sucker, right? Because they're gonna print your money to fund this scam, right? So that's why you need something like Bitcoin or gold or silver to protect yourself from the scam. Now, like hard monies, they got like hypothecated, right? They basically create more of them, right? They just paper. Like you need you hear things like paper gold, paper silver, paper Bitcoin, right? But there's a limit on how much they can do that. Okay, so yes, gold, they have been doing this for years. They have been creating paper gold, and decades they've been doing that. But at some point, I think it's gonna crack, right? Because the truth is gonna come up. And same thing with Bitcoin. I know in the crypto space they are trying to create paper Bitcoin, but it's gonna crack as well. It's gonna crack even faster, because Bitcoin will go up 5x, 10x. Then you will see all those uh, future ETFs get wrecked, get wrecked. So, anyways, because Bitcoin, it's very easy to self custody your Bitcoin. Just pull it out of the exchange, and you say, "Fuck everybody else," or let's say, "Fuck everything else." So that's the revolution, my friend. You need to learn about these things, and that's why I break it down for you, because I know some of those things, they seems very technical, and you have to be like a boomer thinking about the economy, that's why, bond and all those things. It's simple. When you check the 10-year yield or the 1-year yield, look how high it is. That's the interest you have to pay on that. Okay, like the like the interest, like the debt is at 30 trillion, and if you put that at 4% interest, that's over $1 trillion of interest you have to pay a year. Over $1 trillion a year. Like every year you have $1 trillion, over 31 trillion dollars. Like if you in 5 years you're gonna expect like $35 trillion, right? 37, even more. Right? So like it's like it can double every 5 years. You get your debt double. That's not a sustainable system. It's really crazy. People still rely on that. Anyways, this was the toxic talk for today. I hope you guys enjoy. I gonna go, and guys, support the podcast. Lightning tip me a few sats, and I love having you. Please comment, share, and yes, guys. Thank you for listening. And I'll see you again in the next Toxic Talk in my way to work. Bye, cover.